young people have said. And I want you to see, this is a broom, isn't it? If you take a few like this, you can break it. You can see how easy it is. That is the strength of some of us greater than the strength of one of us. You can just start like this. But the strength of all of us is greater than the strength of all of us. You can see, I can't bend it and I can't break it. And that is exactly what the youth of Nigeria have demonstrated, that the strength of all of us is greater than the strength of some of us. And I have never seen in my life this kind of unity, this kind of patriotism, this kind of solidarity, this kind of love that our youth have shown to the Nigerian populace and have shown the whole world, not just Nigeria. And for about 12 days or thereabout, they simply went about singing and dancing in love. And in fact, if I am not making a mistake, what they were doing was even far more for the benefit of the police and all security agencies than even for the youth themselves. Because the police, an average policeman, not even the Inspector General of Police, will walk up to the National Assembly or the president or any group to ask for a better package for the police force. But these youth were certainly selfless, and they put the interest of the police and, of course, by interpretation, all other security forces in front to show Nigeria what love, unity is all about. And of course, the greatest is love, which they have simply demonstrated. No religion, no tribe, no sectionalism, nothing else but love and unity of Nigeria. And therefore, there is hope for this great country called Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Isuwa Dogo. Thank you for that intervention. I mean, obviously, we all have seen what is happening. We all saw that, again, as you reaffirmed, there is unity of purpose. In that protest, there was no Igbo, there was no Yoruba. All that we saw was Nigerian youths demanding to be alive. And that is a fundamental right that they have to demand to be alive, not to be shot. On that note, I will be bringing in Professor Pat Utomi. Professor, I want you to please to set the tone for the deeper meaning of this handshake and why we need to have this unity at this moment. Thank you very much, Professor.
Well, thank you so very much. I want to thank Dr. Isuwa Dogo for setting a pretty good tone for the path that I think is profitable for us to travel. We come from a history in which actors with very short-term limited interests often tend to try and exploit situations in the perception that it will advance those interests. Sadly for us, they have often prevented us from working together in a way that will bring progress to all. I watch with great fascination and admiration the youth of Nigeria. And they came from north, south, east, and west. They sang together, they marched together, they held up a national anthem, and they were doing great, sending a powerful message to the world like has not been done before. I can speak to this because I have been in the middle of youth and not so young attempts to raise our voices in Nigeria. I started as a 17-year-old student, and I have gone through a whole life of struggle trying to do it. On none of those occasions or efforts have I seen the kind of unity of purpose from the youth of our country as I saw in the last couple of weeks, and I was in a state of grand celebration. I even wrote in Nong Demitis, Lord, now you can take your servant away. I've seen the future. Only for typical traditional forces of darkness to begin to try to penetrate this initiative, this movement. I think that we have a duty as thoughtful elders, as thoughtful people, to point our country to the path of right, to remind those people who have made it their way to abort things that are done to advance the collective good of all by bringing in these primordial kinds of sentiments that get in the way of things being done properly for the good of everybody. I agree totally with Dr. Isuwa Dogo that I think that the purpose that was advanced in the methodic Gandhi type non-violent approach that the youth took was a phenomenal gift to our country, a great learning point for all of us to go forward from. It is sad that we have come to a point where those types of traditional sewers of hate and manipulators of ethnic divides have begun the usual thing. Interestingly, just this morning, I had the privilege of a conversation with Dr. Usman Bugaje, and he was talking about a conference that will try to put ethnicity where it belongs into this world. Because really, truly, where does ethnicity belong into this world? We speak often, many of us go back to Greek philosophers to look at society and to identify three kinds of groups of people in society. Those they call idiots in their philosophy of those days, not an insult, but people who just think only of themselves. And at a slightly higher level, those who they call tribesmen, who look at only people who share a certain parochial interest, blood or the other. And the third layer they call citizens. These are people who share a sense of a common humanity. Now, we have been gifted with a group of young people who say they are citizens. And indeed, they are citizens, not only of Nigeria, but of the world. They are global citizens. In some of my remarks, warning people in public authority that not only are these young people citizens, but they are global citizens. And they have the capacity and access to technology to cripple any public authority in Nigeria from wherever in the world they may be located. That this is a time to pull back from those traditional ways of trying to gain access to power by dividing so as to rule. And those days are gone past. We are in a new era. And so whatever we can do as enlightened elders to send a clear message through the length and breadth of this country, from Maiduguri to Lagos, from Yenagoa to Sokoto, that the young people of Nigeria are speaking to fundamental problems of why Nigeria has not made progress in spite of the giftings from God, endowments that are abundant in the land, because a small group of people driven by instant gratification always turn to religion, always turn to ethnicity to prevent the collective will, which would lead to the progress of all. And so to get a just, peaceful, and thriving society, these young people have decided to take on the issues. And we must not allow those who want to profit from dividing the people to get in the way. And so I'm thankful that we have on this call people from across the spectrum in our country, people who are leaders of conscience, people who are leaders of thought, and people who are respected in their various communities, so that collectively we can say to the Nigerian people, this is not a North-South matter. This is not a community to that community matter. The so-called hoodlums that have been introduced into the process, that have disrupted their peaceful protests, and I wonder which Nigerians we should call hoodlums. These are Nigerians who are the deprived, the wretched of the earth, who have been used by politicians and created into gangs, and they are now called hoodlums. And in the middle of this kind of situation of national unity in which the youth have galvanized the heart of our nation, these people have come again to try and stoke division through these gangs they created that we call hoodlums. We must stop them. We must allow the youth of our country to raise their voices, that we might reform this country so that the progress that our country deserves can come to all of us, so that well-being can be the song of the guy in Afikpo, as it can be the song of the guy in deep down Taraba State, and the song of the guy in Ogbomoso as the song of the guy in Kafanchan. We must, as elders, speak clearly to the unacceptable inclination to use thugs, to use or even abuse the state to sow divisions. Power accumulated by such deceit on which the lives of innocents are being lost can only bring perpetual infamy to those who tread that track. We must change course now. And I thank you for having me on this call.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for that wonderful intervention. As you clearly said, there is need to close rank at this point in time. I want to know if we have the privilege of having Alhaji Bugaje here. Is Alhaji Bugaje in our midst? Is he already logged on? Alhaji Bugaje, if can you raise your hand if probably, because I think we have people that have joined in with names that...
Right. By the way, Dr. Bugaje is on the road, so he probably be using a cell phone. If you look out for cell phones, he's on the road traveling.
Okay,
so
maybe that's probably why we can't see him. But, okay. Now, let me quickly, I would come to Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, but before I do, let me quickly bring in, I don't know if Reverend Father George Ehusani is here. Reverend Ehusani? Reverend, probably still about to join us then. And please, Chief Femi, Fani-Kayode, please, if you can unmute yourself, and I will have you address us before we get to Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me once again.
Thank you.
First of all, let me acknowledge it's a great privilege to be here, especially with some of those on this panel, Dr. Dogo, Dr. Pat Utomi, the senator, great man. I can see the great lady from the Niger Delta, Annkio Briggs, and so many others. And I think it's a wonderful gathering, a wonderful initiative. Just as I believe that the handshake across the Niger was also another wonderful initiative. It's good that the youth have finally come together to try to fix the problems of this country. And also the fact that they've recognized that the man who is running the affairs of our nation has divided us more than any other in the history of our country, has brought all those, what you described or others described as primordial instincts out of all of us, and has made us believe that there's a distinct possibility that we may not be able to enjoy the unity that the founders of this nation dreamt of ab initio right at the start. The reality is that Buhari has taken us into a place and into a position that, that is unsustainable. And he has also clothed his ethnicity, his ethnicism, his religious tendencies, he's clothed it with bad governance, incompetence, brutality, and tyranny. And that's why we are where we are. And it took the youth to rise up and bring the whole nation to a standstill and say, look, we're not so interested in ethnic issues. We're not so interested in religion. We're not interested in that. All we want is to be able to live at peace, not to be brutalized by the police, not to be killed at will, and to have the chance of a good life. That is what they've managed to achieve. And they've brought that issue to the forefront, to the front burner. And that's a great thing. Now, the reality is this, that quite apart from the fact that Buhari exhibited last night his total disdain and contempt for the aspirations of the people of this country, and his lack of respect for the youth, and his lack of respect for life itself, where mass murder has taken place, people have been slaughtered in the streets of Lagos, children were killed, he didn't even acknowledge that. But that will tell you his mindset. I'm not sure if you're with me. Are we back now? Okay. Sorry. Hello? Hello? It's cut off. I can't hear.
Yeah, please go on. Please go on. We can hear you.
There was a loud and clear. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say was that we have a twofold problem here. The first full problem is the fact that we have bad governance, a very, very hard-hearted soul, a pharaoh-like figure running the affairs of our nation, which has pushed the youth to the wall, and which is a situation that must be addressed, and he hasn't addressed it yet. Mass murder, ethnic cleansing, genocide, the slaughter of children, crimes against humanity. That is what is going on in Nigeria today. And no explanations, no arrests, no detentions, no explanations from anybody at any level. And the youth have shown us the way that this sort of thing is not acceptable. So that's the first problem we have. But quite apart from that problem, we cannot run away from the fact that we have other problems as well. And those other problems are fundamental. And the first issue is, are we really interested in continuing in this contraption? Now, I may be as an individual, others may not be, and we need to address that issue as well somewhere along the line. And if we are interested in staying together as a nation, on what terms? Can we not devolve power from the center? Can we not restructure? Are these questions that we must never ask? And a situation whereby whenever there is any kind of issue in the country, certain people from a certain part of the country will push youth out in the streets to kill people and intimidate others and say that if it's not their way, nothing will happen and everybody will die, is unacceptable. And we're saying enough of that. Now, I want to just end this small intervention with this point, which is a very important point I'm about to make. The killings have not just started now. The killings have been going on for the last 5 years. Slaughter all over the country. In the Middle Belt, where Dogo comes from. In the East, where Senator comes from. In the Niger Delta, where Annkio comes from. All over this country, over the last 5 years, even in the core north itself. I happen to be a title chief of Shinkafi in Zamfara. I was there recently, and only 2 days ago, 22 people were slaughtered in one of the local government areas in Zamfara state. Before this governor came in, under the last governor, we had 300 to 500 people being slaughtered every day in Zamfara state. The same in Katsina, the numbers may not be so high, the same in Sokoto. So it's not limited to any area, but the fact is that Nigeria has been an abattoir of bloodshed, slaughter over the last 5 years. And nobody seemed to care. And the traditional way of looking at this amongst our people was that, look, as long as it doesn't affect your own people, why should you bother? And many would say, look, after all, why are you bothering with the Igbos? You're not an Igbo person. Others will say, why are you bothering with the Middle Belters? Why are you bothering with this? Why are you bothering with that? Forgetting that when you slaughter an Igbo child or deprive an Igbo person of his rights, or you slaughter a Northern Christian or a Northern Muslim, or you slaughter a Niger Deltan or deprive him of his resources, or you kill anybody, anywhere in this country, it affects us all as Nigerians. And I think that's the spirit that your youth of today have inculcated, that people were killed, people were deprived of their rights, people were being slaughtered all over the country. And they came out and said, it's nothing to do with where you come from or your faith, but it's everything to do with the fact that life is important and life is sacred. And if we really want to make progress, I have to put it to you, and I'll use this opportunity to make this call. President Muhammadu Buhari must be asked to resign because mass murder has taken place under his watch over the last 5 years. That's the first point. The second point is that once that happens, and once that is done, we need to sustain our democracy in a peaceful way, and we need to ensure that we answer the national question. We need to restructure, devolve power from the center, and we need to ensure that we move forward as a nation. And where people say that they do not want to remain in this nation, we need to show them love and try to win them over. And if they still insist on going, they have the right of self-determination once a referendum has taken place. If you say people don't have that right, then it's a fundamental problem because you're coming up against a mindset and a feeling and a position that a lot of people don't share. So, having said this, I think that it's a good thing. I commend the youth. I commend all those that have stood up. I also commend the fact that so many people have died over the last week. Look, let me just quickly end with this one. Lekki, they are saying nothing happened. They're saying nobody was killed. When the reality is that we know people were killed. Those children were killed. They're covering it up. And what type of country is this when this sort of thing can happen and nobody will talk? Nobody will talk. Nobody will say anything. This is an impeachable offense, whether anybody likes to accept it or not. And I would have expected people in the Senate and in the House to stand up and challenge the president. I saw MPs in the United Kingdom, young Nigerian MPs of Nigerian descent, on protests at the House of Commons yesterday, making passionate speeches. I saw young middle-class speaking out and challenging us all as leaders and saying, where have you been? Why have you not done something about this? And challenging the president and asking him to resign. How many of our politicians have done that? How many of our leaders have done that? How many of them have had the courage to speak truth to power? Quite a number have, but not nearly enough. And I believe that we need to stand up, speak truth to power, and say enough is enough, and join the youth in this protest as long as it's peaceful and as long as it is something that is being done in a reasonable, rational way. Having said, I think that's what I have to contribute for now.
Thank you very much. As passionate as always, this speech is very, very passionate. And again, here we are trying to, make an interjection to bring down the tension that is in the land now. Ngozi Odimoko, please, can you unmute yourself just quickly, 1 minute, and make your comment before I can get to Alhaji Usman Bugaje, who is now ready for us. After Alhaji, I'm getting back to the senator in the House. Ngozi, please, 1 minute, please.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me, please?
We can all hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. The essence of this, I'm sorry, my video is not on. This is US, so still midnight, family sleeping. The essence of this, we want to appreciate Chief FFK, Femi, Fani-Kayode, and our leaders. We want to de-escalate the tension in the country right now. In as much as we appreciate individuals' input, freedom of expression, the idea is not to use this meeting right now to call for Mr. President resignation. We intend to de-escalate and have peace in the land for now. So please, I want to appeal to champions and speakers. We're intending the meeting is called Handshake across Nigeria. So for now, let us be able to have a peaceful environment, then we can dialogue, we can engage, and take it up from there. Thank you. So
sorry. Okay. Chief, I see you're shaking your head. Please, thank you very much, Chief. You are muted. You're muted. Sorry, Chief Kayode, you are muted.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
If I could just say a very quick word on that. I think that it really is a testimony to the fact that there's something fundamentally wrong with our democracy and with our country, where we say that where people have been murdered in the streets and where there's been incompetence manifested by the leadership of this country. And as we speak now, I visited one of the families in Abuja just yesterday who lost 3 of their children because nobody was ready to protect them. Nobody has spoken up for them. And this is happening all over the country. And then people will say that in the name of trying to restore peace, we should not call for the resignation of the president. I'm sorry, but I don't accept that. And I think that it's important that we say what we feel at any point in time. There is no country in the world where this sort of thing will happen and will act as if it never happened. Where you are, because in America, if this sort of thing happened, there is no leader in that country that will say we should not call for the resignation of the president. I call for Israel. It's not a treasonable offense to do that. This is a democracy. And I'm saying that this is a lawful, legitimate way of solving the problem, or I'm calling for his impeachment. Now, that is just my opinion. It does not mean to say I don't believe in dialogue, I don't believe in peace, I don't believe in unity, but I reserve the right to express my views and at the same time say that you may disagree with me, but I think it would be disingenuous and quite wrong for anybody to say that, well, this is a forum, because if I'd been told that I wasn't allowed to do this, I wouldn't have come here. It's very important that all of us understand that where there's injustice, we should speak out against it. Now, I believe in unity. I believe in peace. I believe in dialogue. I also believe that where blood has been shed and where tyranny has been recognized, we need to talk about it in order to find a solution. But if we continue to brush it under the carpet in the name of keeping the peace and in the name of whatever you like to call it, I think we'll continue to have this problem. And what it does is it encourages those that allow this sort of thing to happen under their watch and perpetuate it and do it, they will continue to do it. Let me just end with this. I remember during the days of military rule, and I believe Usman Bugaje may have joined us, I'm not sure. I remember he wrote an article titled something to the effect of when silence is not golden. And he wrote this very powerful article against the tyranny of that day and the head of state of that day. And I wasn't in the country at the time, but I remember reading that, and it was very inspiring to me. And I think that we need to understand that when some of us speak, millions of people are listening, and what we say is important. We want peace, but we must also be able to inspire others to understand that where there is no justice, there may well not be any peace. And that's just my view. So I don't mean to upset anybody. I don't mean to undermine anybody, but my views are my views. And I believe that with what has happened in this country over the last 2 weeks, where democratic rights have been violated, there's been tyranny, people have been killed, particularly children, I think it's only right and proper for any right-thinking leader, any courageous leader, to say the truth and say what they feel. And my own view is that one of the ways forward is to possibly consider the resignation of the president, and I certainly believe in that.
Thank you very much, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode. Please, thank you for your intervention. Obviously, without sounding or repeating again, I think here it's democracy that we have in Nigeria, and everybody has that right, and those rights must be heard. Having said that, at this call, what we are trying to achieve with this meeting is also to hear views, what Nigerians think, and at the same time, reach out to the leaders of various ethnic nationalities, various regions, to speak to their people. For us all as a group of people, as nationalists, to tamper, because everyone, as Professor said at the beginning, people will call hoodlums. These are invariably our brothers. These are our sisters. Like yesterday, the palliative warehouse in Maza, Lagos was looted. I mean, who were those that went there? These are human beings. These are people that were hungry. Obviously, they are hungry. That's why that eventually happened. And questions followed. On that note, I would want to use the opportunity to bring Alhaji Usman Bugaje. Alhaji, if you can unmute yourself, please. And I know and I understand that you are on the road.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first apologize for joining rather late, and that means I've missed a few things. So I do ask for forgiveness if I repeat what has already been said, or I I find something missing, and I may not be able to address it. So I think what is important at this stage is, I think, to have a good understanding of the issues. I think most of us will not be surprised that what is happening has happened. In a way, there are things we saw coming. We have an administration that does not prioritize competence, an administration that does not respond to citizens, an administration that holds citizens in contempt. And therefore, a lot of what we are seeing is basically what we already know are things the way they are, and begin to see what can we do to change it for the better. I think we have to go back to the basic source of the power that politicians are wielding. We have to look at the political culture, which is a rogue political culture that is not driven by knowledge, is not driven by national interest. It's basically a selfish, greedy kind of enterprise that capitalizes on the ignorance of the people, and therefore collectively, because even if this regime comes and goes, we still have to deal with political culture, and it's likely to throw up the same kind of people in leadership, and we are going to continue to face these problems. So I think if we reduce things to what they are, and we try to have a thorough diagnosis, I think we have to look at the political culture, the fact that our politics is empty, the fact that political parties have no content, the fact that they have no conscience, they have no courage, and the fact that a lot of the people who are going to be thrown up in leadership positions, both at the National Assembly, at the State Assembly, at the leadership, governance level, at the presidential level, at the federal level, are all going to be people who are going to be of that kind, where they do not even have a good understanding of the issues, and they do not have the interest of the country in mind. So this is one thing that I think we should go back to. The second issue is the fact that the elite, and this includes a lot of us on this platform, have not yet organized a consensus. There is no consensus among Nigerian elite as to where this country is going to go. Where do we want Nigeria to be in the next 25 years, in the next 50 years? If we do not have that consensus, we are going to be stuck where we are. Then in the northern direction, the southern elite are pulling in the southern direction, and the country will be stuck in one place. We're not going to make much progress. We have seen many countries who have gone through crisis, but that have been able to craft a national consensus, have been able to make a lot of progress over the last 20 years when we have been stuck. Rwanda is one of them. Korea, after its own crisis, is another. Singapore went through a similar process. And these countries are now the envy of their peers, precisely because they've been able to organize a consensus. So we need to agree exactly where do we want this country to be. And we need to ensure that the national narrative is not about ethnicity, which is a phase that we are really, the whole world is getting out of. If you look at the trend in the world, we are talking about global citizens, people living in California, working and doing business in China. This is the world that the young people are going to live. They're not going to live in the world of, tribal sentiments and even where you're located, where you come from. So we need to begin to even change as elite the narrative. We need to start looking into the future. We need to start looking at the knowledge economy that is going to drive the world. that's going to make us competitive as a country. We need to start thinking of big ideas. At the moment, we are stuck with the politics of big men. This is so-so and so-so person's party. This is XYZ party. We need to start thinking in terms of what are the big ideas that can actually bring progress.
Alaji, I think you're.
I think that I think that Dr. Bugaje has gone into network challenges.
He has gone into a virtual tunnel where his network is now no longer palatable to hear him speak clearly. And maybe we'll bring him back again. So, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, please, if you can be on standby. So let me put him on mute. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, if you can take the floor, please.
Have had the benefit.
Oh, okay, hold on, sorry. I think he's back. Oh, he's dropped entirely. Sorry about that. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, you can now have the floor. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you very loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just say hello to everyone and say that my real problem and what I really feel very bad about is the fact that at any time that we come together, just like we came together in this ENDSars protest, and where people eschewed everything, and where everybody was walking in one direction. The people who want to put this nation in trouble, at all times, we introduce the very same thing and the very same pattern, the very same, I will say, you know, whatever, and you can see it. First thing, they put ethnicity. Second, they put religion. Third, they now put politics, different parties. Then 5, you know, they now pit the youth against the old and all that. And immediately that happens, then we veer away from a consensus, and then we start speaking in disparate voice. And I can just see it, and that's exactly what is happening today. At the point when this ENDSars started, nobody, absolutely nobody, thought that it was Igbo or Yoruba and all that. But what do we have today? Yesterday, I was in another Zoom meeting, and there was a scramble to say that, oh, some people are saying that what happened in Lagos, that it was the Igbos that were doing it. How could that happen? And all of a sudden, the narrative and the conversation starts to change. And so I think that what we need to focus on today is how do we, following what Professor Dogo and Pat and Usman Bugaje has also said, where do we go from here? How do we move forward? How do we take those things that bind us and leave all these other ones that tend to put us aside? My very good friend, Fani-Kayode, I want to welcome you to the party because you're talking about the resignation of the president a year after I had said mine. I saw it. At that point, when we saw the way that this administration was focusing just on one part of the country to the detriment of every other part, I knew that there's no other thing that it was going to bring, but it's going to bring resentment from all sides. And sadly, they don't seem to listen. My feeling is that this will blow away. This will all go away because right now they have introduced all manners of things. In Abia, what they have just done is to say, oh, militants have come, they're burning down police stations, they're doing this, and everybody said, no, we cannot do that anymore. So everybody's going to leave. The fact that this thing started with police brutality and the fact that the SARS disappeared so many people and so many families are still mourning till today. And so that one seems to have now been put under the carpet, and now we are talking about every other thing except that. The government says, of course, that we have changed, we have accepted, we have done that, but we still have the same police, we still have the same IG, we still, there's no new idea that they're going to bring, because they were the perpetrators of all this at the beginning. And somebody, I think somebody posted something about how much you have to pay to be in SARS. Some other people posted about the fact that policemen were going around with POS machines to extort money from people. And nobody talking about how to tackle that, because you have to tackle all that. It's when you tackle that, that you can now say, okay, we are going to move forward. Prof, I think that maybe I'm talking to Prof Utomi and the rest of us. Maybe what we need to do is to see how we can harness this energy that all the youths brought together to do this protest and use it to change the government in the next election. Because, of course, I cannot advocate that, oh, you can call for the president's resignation just to make a point. He won't. But this government is too set in its ways and cannot change. It's a fact. Just yesterday, on Tuesday, just before we went into, from the Senate, we went into now going into committees to talk about the budget. The president brought a letter to change the Electricity Regulatory Commission chairman. Now, what did he do? The chairman hasn't spent the 5 years, because he's got a letter that is from 2018 to 2023. All of a sudden, the man is changed and is replaced by somebody from the north. And how do you expect such a person to be happy? How do you expect his own people to be happy? And on that same day that this letter came, were discussing the same thing that happened to the former PENCOM managing director. And I stood up and I was making so much point, but this was another letter truncating another person said this. And when you now want to ask, who wants to continue to introduce this ethnic dimension at all times? Is this government? And there is nothing we can do anymore because they are now very deaf. You can just see that. And the only way is that you have to vote this government out of power. Otherwise, they will continue to perpetuate themselves. And I don't see any other way we can avoid having to shift from this.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Your intervention is, again, you can never give pastors time to speak without quoting the scriptures, politicians without campaigning. But one thing to—
I'm not campaigning for my party.
No, I know. But one thing to take away from your submission is very clear. The youth has made it absolutely clear that come 2023, you're very unlikely to have APC and PDP, and every one of you will be removed. I mean, Professor Pat Utomi is the only person that I can see that
you can say that will be left.
I actually agree that he's going to do a festival that the youth has woken up, and what it means that politicians listening now, that the youth have said loud and clear, come 2023, it is their turn. There's going to be a new Nigeria that is going to be defined in their worldview. There is an analogy that we have kept using. It boggles the mind how a people that can barely use email will dictate the future for those that only will tell Amazon Echo to make Apple Siri to give you the direction. and Android, whatever to say, please, can you on my lights? Can you turn my car engine? Whereas those making the decision are those that can barely open email and read email. That is going to change. Having said that, here today is we are looking at how to de-escalate the tension that we have in the country. On that note, I will be bringing in Professor Chris-Imfildon. Please, Prof, if you can unmute yourself and for your intervention. And once more, thank you very much, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Please, I think I've been told that SAN Femi Falana is in our midst. Please, again, if you can indicate, I think you are not here with your normal name. I think you're coming in with a different device.
Sorry, if I might just also mention somebody who is waiting.
Okay.
Reverend Father George Ehusani, who wants to go to say mass or something. So after you take the next person, if you could just look for Father George Ehusani.
I've actually looked at it, but I haven't seen any reverend here. So that's why. So if you can tell me what,
Yeah, now. He's here now. He's
there.
back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I want to thank you very much for coming on this platform, because on Tuesday night, what I saw moved me. I know some individuals refer to Nigeria as a zoo, and I get irritated by it. As a professor in the UK, I couldn't take my students to class the next morning. I had to tell all my students, meet me in Parliament. I cannot stay in the UK as an advisor to the UK government and look at my fatherland being vandalized by individuals that have no clue. If you are talking about the next election, I think you are dreaming. You haven't read the writing on the wall. We live in a hashtag generation, not an Ali must go generation. This is the post-George Floyd era. Smell the coffee and wake up. If you are in any position in Nigeria, you better get this clear. This is a new generation. That's why I had to go with my students to the embassy. From there, we marched on to the Prime Minister's residence and informed him that you don't use live ammunition under any circumstances on any other person that is unarmed. That is number one rule. Before they gave you the gun, they told you, you use it when somebody else has a gun. But these children did not have guns. They had flags. Thanks to social media, we have verifiable videos and pictures from Lekki. I would have kept maybe a deaf ear if it just continued peacefully. But because you fired live ammunition, you know it's wrong. We don't need a new agenda in Nigeria, by the way. What the youths want are schools, hospitals, better pay for workers. That is not rocket science. This is a global community. If you think that somebody is Yoruba by any way, or Hausa or Igbo, there's something wrong with your brain. The world does not recognize your little tribal distraction. They're showing photographs of looters, and the prime ministers was trying to show us that they are looters. I said, sir, they are not looters. These are hungry men and women. The real looters, they loot treasury. And the government of the UK, we told them they have to publish the names and account numbers of every single politician in power right now. All their accounts have to be frozen until there is an independent investigation of who shot who at what time. Not the presidential address that came. That's an insult to me, insult to every single investment Nigeria made on my education. How can I be here advising Angela Merkel, Francis Macron, and telling them what to do, and my home is on fire, and little innocent children are asking for a basic, ladies and gentlemen, this is basic demands. They didn't ask for a golden elephant. They could have asked for that. So I'm appealing to you. If you don't want to join the international community, the diasporans will start and respond to this war because the first bullet has been fired. You don't call bullets to the street and then lie that nobody got hurt and then lie that nobody got killed. Who do you think you're fooling? This is a hashtag generation. And this hashtag generation speak a different language, work by a different set of rules. Ask Macron with the yellow vest. Ask Biden. Ask Trump. Nigeria is no exception. We have enough tools called mobile phone. We have enough technology. The children have not even asked for broadband. It's their right to have broadband. Go to Lome, there's broadband. Go to Ghana, there's broadband. The entire West African coast. How can the giant of Africa behave like an ant? I'm saddened to tears that we can discuss and debate whether there is a president or no president. Prove it. Did Nambi also ask them to shoot with the Fulani killings? We've seen enough. Did anybody tell us about herdsmen? Did anybody tell us about Boko Haram? Come on. The world is not asleep. Nigeria may be asleep. My generation that failed Nigeria may be asleep. But these children are going to shake the house until everything is shaken and a new Nigeria will emerge, not based on your disturbing constitution that can be manipulated by anybody that can spread money. Your money will not be able to save you because wisdom is bigger than wealth. The information that these children have, you don't know it because none of you understand the power of a mobile phone. Nobody in Nigeria understands what a mobile phone is. The mobile phone that those children have is more powerful than the computing power that NASA had that put a man on the moon. Did you know that? I worked it out. I teach it. I teach informatics. The power of the mobile phone, you don't know. If you knew it, you will give your military one and take the guns from them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I came, and this is what I'm intervening for. We are going back to Parliament today. We'll be there tomorrow. We'll be there at the Prime Minister's house. He knows these real facts, and he's going to call all his partners and other Commonwealth countries until we hear the truth. All the banks are going to be frozen. All your bank accounts are going to be frozen. All your passports are going to be revoked if you have a foreign passport. All your visas are going to be revoked. We have made that clear, and we are going back to Parliament, and we keep saying this, and they're going to take us seriously because they've used us in the past to build this nation, to have their health service. We have now to use them to build our fatherland. It can't be left desolate. I thank you for your opinion, and I thank you for your audience. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. That was a
God bless you too. God bless you.
That was a very, very passionate intervention. Thank you very much. I mean, you have said it loud and clear. There is no need for further translation. And to continue on that note.
Thank you, Prof. Love you, sir.
Continue on that note, I would be bringing in Reverend Father George Ehusani, and many of you would know him from the television or from your WhatsApp. He's one of those that I can say I'm an apostle of his preaching. So it is a privilege to have him speak to us today. Reverend Father, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. And I'm coming in late, but even hearing Professor Imafidon, I can imagine the interaction that has been going on regarding the unfortunate incident in Nigeria in the last few days. Many of us applauded the initiative of the young people and how peaceful that initiative was. Many of us applauded the fact that it is time for the young people to take the country and run the country in the digital manner in accordance with the developments of today, what we have gained from globalization and the tech revolution. But unfortunately, the reaction of the leadership has been to crush the peaceful protests and manipulate hungry, ignorant people, unemployed, jobless young people to destroy the wonderful initiative of the peaceful protest of our young people. Now, when I saw what was going on yesterday with this jobless, homeless young people who some describe as hoodlums, unfortunately, taking food, rushing to collect food from the place where this food has been kept, the COVID-19 palliative. I felt very bad because we have millions of young people who have nothing to lose. No society can survive where there are millions of young people who have nothing to lose. Those who are familiar with my writings and my speeches know that I have been crying for many years. 25 years ago, there was an incident in Lagos which pointed to what we are seeing now. We have young people under the bridge who live under the bridge, who live by extortion because they have not been given opportunities to go to school. They are intelligent people, but who have not been given opportunities to go to school and to use their creative ingenuity to contribute to the development of this country. Now, on one occasion, a well-dressed lady was in an SUV driving, and they tried to extort this woman. And this woman was proving stubborn. These young people came out. One of them said to the lady, "Wind down. I will deal with you. You know that I, on my part, I am not useful." I felt terrible when I heard that. And I'm talking about 20 years ago. That what future has our society, when you have hordes of young people who believe that they are not useful? You know that you are the one that is useful. You are the one in the SUV. You are the one who has husband to go to. You are the one who has children that are looking up to you. I live under the bridge here. My life has no value. When you have millions of young people who admit that their lives have no value, then what you saw yesterday, day before yesterday, may only be the beginning, unfortunately. So we need to urgently tell the leadership who are living in the peace of the graveyard, our leaders who are living in the peace of the graveyard, we need to wake them from their slumber to say, this is the peace of the graveyard. You are living in an illusion. The reality of Nigeria, whether it is Aba or Onitsha or Lagos or Ughelli, the reality is that large proportion of our young people are unemployed, unemployable, with no motivation. They have the first thing you can do to stabilize this country is to come down from your high heights, from your Olympia heights, come down to the level of our people, and instead of look at the budget and see what do you have for young people. The UNICEF recommendation for youths is 26% of the budget of a country. The recommendation, even the Abuja something about health, is 15%. But what do we have for education? A country where the budget for National Assembly is more than the budget for education, is more than the budget for health. A country where just to service the perks of office of our public officers is more than the overall budget for education in the year. Such a country has no hope of surviving. We need to immediately look at the circumstances of our country, the politics and the economy, and I'm happy that we have a senator with us, sir. Let the senators begin to bring out gestures, clean gestures that show that they understand what is happening. Slash their allowances into half and use it to fund education. All the leaders that have 2, 3, 4, 10 vehicles that take them to the airport, sell those things and use it for the education of these people that we are calling hoodlums. Whether you call them street urchins or you call them hoodlums, they are Nigerian young people that need to be educated, that need to be given jobs. All the industries in Lagos that used to be the Ikeja industrial layout, the Apapa industrial whatever, today they are all closed. And the young people are growing up and are looking for opportunities like they saw yesterday. So it is young people have become opportunists. So whether it is traffic jam, go slow, then they will come, swoop on you to try to extort. It is the same country that has produced people like Professor Imafidon. It is the same country that has produced the mayor in Canada or the minister in Canada. It is the same country that has produced this. So there is nothing that shows that these young people on the streets of Lagos or on the streets of Onitsha are any less intelligent than their colleagues that are doing so well all over the world. What has happened is leadership. Leadership failure at all levels. When I say leadership failure, I always qualify it at all levels and in every sector. That we all need now to apologize to our youth. We need to apologize that we have failed them. But today, there is something we can do. This very day, there's something each one of us can do by way of repentance, by way of restitution. Restitution, very important. And I would say to Professor Imafidon, it is not enough to close the accounts or freeze the accounts of rich people. It is to say, what can we do by way of gestures of restitution for our young people so that the army of young people on the streets can begin to do something useful. They are intelligent, they are creative, they can be brought back. People should be made to have a sense of ownership of the country. Why would they burn the Ports Authority? They burn the Ports Authority because they cannot link, there is no link between themselves and the Ports Authority. They do not see any link. There's no sense of ownership. Let us help our young people feel an emotional attachment to the country, that this country belongs to them. Therefore, they will protect the Nigerian Ports Authority from anyone who wants to destroy it. But as of today, they have no link with the country. Let the leaders who are so far alienated from the people, and I'm talking of leadership at all levels, alienated from the people, let them begin to connect with the people. Let them come from their dark stained glass vehicles and be able to walk on the streets. That's how a leader does. Walk on the streets and feel the pulse of the people. That's the only way by which anyone can lead this country in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honestly, you have delivered a live version of what the dosage you've been giving us on WhatsApp and on Facebook. And I must say thank you very much for that candid advice. Again, you know, the good thing here is that we have a listening senator. And incidentally, a senator who is the minority leader. So, and we will, and I would want to use the opportunity to say, Senator, I hope you're taking note of what all the suggestions being made, that we, on behalf of the Nigerian youth, would want you to cause a stir in the National Assembly when you will be the one to make the proposition for your salaries and your what we call big monies be slashed. So be rest assured that the Nigerian youth will be behind you to push for such to happen. As the Reverend Father rightly said, I mean, the reason why you see the wanton level of destruction is very simple. When the people do not have any form of attachment to something that happened. I mean, you see people burning houses are people who don't own houses. People burning cars are people who don't own cars. No one that owns a car will burn a car. No one that owns houses will burn houses. It's that simple. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But the intervention, once more, is for us to speak to our various constituencies to ensure that, obviously, we de-escalate the situations. What, as of yesterday, the pictures and the videos we all seen still continuing yesterday is very worrying. So we hope that after the intervention, those of us, our Muslim brothers that, you know, today being Friday, we know that obviously they go to mosques, and some Christians on Sunday will go to church, that will be a time of reflection. That is not going to be a call to more damage. On that note, I would want to bring the Amazon of the Niger Delta, our sister Annkio Briggs to please have your brief intervention, then we can move on. Thank you very much. I don't know if Alhaji Bugaje is still around because he was untimely cut off, but if he's still around, I'll bring him back to get his concluding thoughts. Thank you very much. Annkio Briggs, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I will be fast so that I can throw in a few things. First of all, I want to state clearly that I am in full and total support, 100%, of what our children have done in the past 14 days. I also want to state very clearly here that it is what it should not be. Not, in my view, not it is what it is. It is in Nigeria what it should not be. That the children have demonstrated to us that with them, it is not about religion or ethnicity. Does not mean that it has not been about religion or ethnicity and ethnicity. It has always been, and unless we make a conscious effort to remove it, it will remain about religion and about ethnicity. The first way to do that is for the president to reappoint, remove all the appointments he's made by ethnicity and by religion. That's the first thing he will do to show me, to show everybody else that this government, that what we are facing and enduring in Nigeria today is not about religion and that it is not about ethnicity. That he feels only a people of one religion and one ethnicity can be in a position of power or authority is totally unacceptable. Moving forward, that today we have a situation where politicians and the so-called powerful people are describing a group of Nigerians that they themselves have totally dehumanized as hoodlums, shows very clearly that they still do not understand that they created these people. None of those people that have done this level of destruction that the governor went to see in Lagos alone today that I saw, that these people they refer to as hoodlums. The dictionary states very clearly that this word hoodlum came about, first of all, on the 13th of December in 1866. So power, political power, and injustice have created hoodlums centuries ago. Coming back to Nigeria, I agree with the professor, and if he can afford that, achieve that for Nigerians, that the bank accounts of politicians in the United Kingdom or in Europe even should be closed under whatever reason that they can find, that it should be done and should be done immediately. The children of politicians that are in the best schools, when our children here cannot even attend university, there is no university that I will send my own children to, but I'm not a politician, so I'm not using Nigeria's money. Now, every child that is going to school and is a politician's child, and that politician cannot prove that that salary is paid, that the
Okay. Sorry there, I think your network is paused you and
Nigeria. We've done handshake across Niger Delta. Handshake across Nigeria right now is definitely the discussion that we need to hold. But I refuse to delude myself or deceive myself that having a discussion titled handshake across Nigeria necessarily is going to produce what we want to discuss, when we will not be allowed to propose from our various states and local government areas and geopolitical zones our desires for what we believe is going to be the best option for Nigeria. We will just be talking as we have always done. But talking is necessary because it may get us somewhere. But we have to put a timeline on everything. We are on a fast-moving train. I said it in Lagos years ago at a program. The train has no brake. It's not that the brake is bad. At the beginning of the amalgamation, this train, we were all put on board this train. And the people who built this train and put us on this train purposely did not put a brake on the train because they have a timeline for the train to crash. It's either we find a way to get off the train or the train is on its way to crashing. It may not crash, it will crash. Now, by saying that the fact, therefore, that Nigeria has been governed by fear, and that fear actually is something that is perceived to be a danger to us. In Nigeria, fear is not perceived. We live in fear. Fear is part of our existence, and we have to reject this fear and resist this fear. Now, one, I want to round up. I want to say that the senators have no excuse, no right, no business to be earning the amount of money they are earning. They're supposed to be earning 500,000 naira or so. Now, I have to buy them clothes. I have to buy them newspaper. I have to give them houses. They change their cars every year, their computer, their laptop, their phone. This is, look, this is daylight stealing everybody. I have friends who are senators. I don't have relatives who are senators. I have friends who are senators. What they have done to this country, that they can go there every 4 years and bring themselves back and increase the salaries, it's not salary, increase their lootings that they take from Nigerians is shameful. And I feel really pained that we have senators, Nigerians, that say that they are speaking for us, and yet they collect this amount of money. What are they doing with the money? For their constituents, what are they doing with that money? Nigeria is at a place where it's already self-destruct, and any way to save it is to have a restructured Nigeria. If you don't want to restructure Nigeria, let everybody go their own way. I'm begging, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Annkio Briggs. You know, as firebrand as always, at some point I said, interjected with off the mic. And as funny as that may sound, that is the new cliche of when truth is being said, that some people might begin to think it might break the eardrums, you know. And as you're saying that, I was busy looking at the only senator, and sorry, he's alone here, you know, but he will take the beating on behalf of his colleagues. And you know, being the minority being the minority leader as well, and probably that will make him pass back the message that we are conveying here. Probably at the end, we might have to give him some chance if he has any clarifications to make. But as I can see from the chat section, maybe people don't want him to do that. They just say, take the message, what the people have said, back to the assembly. On that note, I would say thank you once more, everyone, for making out the time to join us. We would now have to, we have actually scheduled for more 3 speakers, but I cannot find them here. So if you can indicate if you're here, we have a Mallam, Bello, Gwandu. I don't know if you joined in with unnamed device. Professor Remi, Anifowoshe, Anifowoshe, and Tola. Are you people here? If you are here, you can indicate. I cannot see you here. And, while I wait on that, I will take, someone raised his hand here, Ademola Abbas. Ademola, can you have your 1-minute intervention, please? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Ademola.
Yeah, the name is Professor Ademola Abbas. I thank you very much for giving me the floor. I was alerted by Professor Utomi a few minutes ago, almost an hour ago, to join this. Very quickly, let me start this way. I have appeared on Professor Pat Utomi's Partitos Gang. I'm sure you might be aware of it a few times. And one of the last sessions we had, I remember I made a statement, or a comment rather, that I remember in the early 80s, there was somebody, I don't need to mention names, from one part of the country, who came out openly and said to Nigerians that Nigeria was not ripe for an Igbo presidency. I was in the high school, and I could not, for the life of me, remember how outraged I was. How angry, really, I was. I think, about 17 years old then. I don't know whether you can see me. Hello?
Yes, we can see you. You're on. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. And I repeated that when we were talking on Partitos Gang, I think about 3 months ago. And a gentleman called me and said, he called to thank me for that sentence or statement. And I said, why? He said, because you are a Yoruba man and you are speaking for the Igbos. I said, no, you get it wrong. I am a Nigerian first and foremost. And it doesn't matter where you come from in this country. Nobody has a right to come out and tell me as a Nigerian that Nigeria was not right for Igbo presidency. I would react the same way if it was said about the Yorubas or the Awusas or the Jupuns or anything at all. And that is simply because that has been the ploy from day one to keep us permanently divided. Number two, what happened in the last 13 days, I was chatting with a friend today who was very, very disappointed that, so after all this, what did they come to? She was very bitter. She said she will leave Nigeria. I said, yeah, you can leave Nigeria, but I am not leaving Nigeria. That for the first time, I am more proud of Nigerian youth than I've ever been in my life. And again, on Partitos Gang, I said, for goodness sake, that's about 2 months ago, that we have youths in Nigeria who will pay their money and vote massively on Big Brother Nigeria, why their country is going down the drain. If only they could spend 1/4 of their attention they put on BBN to change, to make their voices heard, Nigeria will never be the same. And, it was a bit prophetic, and I was so happy to see that happen. Now, yesterday, when Mr. President made a statement, an aunt of mine emailed me, sent me a message and said, this guy is so cold-hearted. Look at what he said. And I responded, I said, you imagine he has any heart at all? He said somebody is cold or warm-hearted when they have a heart. If they have no heart, well, it begs the question whether they are cold-hearted or warm-hearted. And I meant that sincerely. Because, and somebody was talking immediately after that, I think on channel analysis. And somebody said, that was Mr. President's style. I said, what style? If Mr. President's child was killed in Ikoyi, or in Enugu, or anywhere it happened in the country, that will not be a style in which you will respond. Let's be honest. If a senator's child was killed, the conversation would be different. So let's stop kidding ourselves. And I told my friend, I said, look, for me, I will forever be proud of what are taking place in the last 13 days. That for the first time, the youth of this country have woken up. They were deemed lazy. They are now told all of us that they are not lazy. They've been quiet. They thought that we, the adults, will redeem ourselves. And I don't know whether I'm a youth or not. I'm just 52 years old. I don't know where I belong to in the scheme of things. And I said, but for the first time, I can go to bed and say, you know what? I can look at my children in the eyes and say, you know what? We've done a bit. I took part when I was studying in the UI in those days. When they were saying our generation, I said, we fought. We fought a different battle. I was in the UI, I studied English. We fought Babangida's Abata's regime. I was in LAC to study law. We fought Abata to stand still. But we were fighting military regimes. There was no democracy. Nobody came to, and they managed to divide us by saying it was irresponsible youth who were fighting in those days. And that was what they tried to do this time around by saying, oh, it was youths who are demonstrating. The question is, who are the youths demonstrating on behalf? They were demonstrating on behalf of the adults, of parents who have to pay their school fees. They were demonstrating on behalf of parents who have no job. We were just coming from a COVID meltdown, for goodness sake. The first thing we were hit by was... Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Somebody talking. Oh, sorry. So we were just coming from, a COVID meltdown, for goodness sake, when everybody was trying to see how they could assuage, their people. Nigeria was decimating its people. First, you have DSTV increasing. It might be minimal. It was very symbolic. After that, you had the pump price increased. After that, you had the, what is it called again? After petrol, we had electricity tariff hiked. What are we doing, for goodness sake? And I'm happy somebody mentioned, I think somebody spoke before, Madam Briggs spoke. Talk about education. You may not know. University of California budget this year was more than Nigeria budget as a whole. That is $34 billion. I'm not talking about Harvard. I'm talking about University of Education. I was lucky to study in this country. I did advanced levels in those days. And with every sense of modesty, I came out of my school with 15 points, which was ABA with a bonus. I had 15 points. Nobody gave me a scholarship. Nobody remembered me at all. And I saw people I studied with the University of Lagos when I needed 12 points to study law, who were coming from different parts of the country with 4 points, 5 points, just because they came from a particular part of Nigeria. What are we doing to our youth? What are we doing to ourselves? So for me, the message, the history, the lesson to learn from the last few days is that the youth of this country have shown that they are ready, they are capable, they are willing to take this country forward, to reclaim Nigeria from rogues who have been governing us. And I dare say, I served as a member of cabinet in Lagos State for 4 years, basically. And let me clarify that I will never understand, and I have many friends who are senators, I have many friends who are, and I have to say this, just for the record, Prof Utomi, I'm pretty close to him, he knows me very well. I was coming back to Nigeria after almost 20 years in the UK, just for one reason, because I was visiting the University of Ibadan, and I saw the way they were treating PhD and master students. I said, for goodness sake, for every Ademola Abbas who was teaching, I was the professor of international law in England. There are thousands of me who could do that job. I need to come back to my country. When I left Europe, the job I got in Ethiopia was paying me $14,000 a month. I only sent that for a record. I was going to give up that job to come to the University of Ibadan, to come and be earning 400,000 naira a month as a professor, just to be able to make my own quota and be able to supervise PhD and master students who are being turned into slaves by Nigerian University. I saw students who I taught in masters in UI who will have to do household chores, take their supervisor's kids to school, wash the cars, just so that they could have their chapters read. I cried. That what are we doing to these kids at the end of the day? I resigned my job. I was coming back to Nigeria to do that. That's a different story entirely. When I was in the cabinet of Lagos State, I was earning 740,000 naira. That was what I earned under Femi Ambode. The records are there. I went in, I came out with my head high. This is not about self-aggrandizement. It's to say one thing, that there are very many good people in Nigeria, and I'm not saying I'm an angel. No, there are good people in this country who need to come out. Nobody has been given. Nobody will give Nigerians their freedom. Let's go. We have to fight for our freedom, and without that, we cannot. We can't learn to appreciate what we have. We need to come out and fight. And I saw almost the balkanization of the youth movement. Oh, it was youth protest. No, the youths were fighting for you and I. They were fighting for their parents who don't have jobs anymore. They were fighting for the parents who couldn't put them in schools. They were fighting for parents who couldn't do anything for them. They were fighting for the soul of this country. And I saw my president, somebody we elected in this country, come out and not people mention one about that. And all we got was a veiled threat. Sorry, that doesn't do it. It is not your style. Let us stop excusing stupidities in Nigeria. Let us stop excusing sillinesses in Nigeria. Let's call a spade a spade. And that is the extent I will agree with Chief FFK when he spoke. However, let's be careful in going forward. A famous Greek poet, Georgios Seferis, said, we must consider how we go forward. When Madam Briggs was speaking, she talked about, well, let us look up for all politicians whose children are studying overseas and this and that. That is not the way to go. I'll tell you why. I had my son overseas years before I came to Nigeria. I was paying the school fees as a professor in the United Kingdom. I work for the UN in Brussels. That kid was born there, schooling there. Now, should I now say because I'm in Nigeria now working for a government, my kid should be brought or my kid should no longer go there? No, that is not the argument. The conversation should be, why should people in public offices in Nigeria have their kids in private schools and overseas? Why? In other words, the moment you go into a public office, the moment you become a public officer, you must bring your children to private schools, to schools in Nigeria. That is the only way we can make our education work for all of us in Nigeria. That is very, very important. It's not that we should say, oh, gun ho, wherever is a political, because you don't know the life I was living before I became a politician in Nigeria. And I don't like you are living before you became a politician in Nigeria. So that is, don't let us call a dog a bad name. No. What we should focus are people earning criminal salaries. Because for the life of me, I don't know how you can justify any 36 million naira as a senator. I'm sorry. I'm not directed to any particular person. I don't know why you are earning 25 million naira as a House of Representative member. I just don't get it.
Okay.
I should not be misunderstood, please. I should not be misunderstood.
No, I did not misunderstand you at all. What I'm simply saying is that, no, madam, I wasn't referring to you particularly. I have had that conversation over and over. What I'm saying is that I understand what you are saying. Yes, we need to address education problems in Nigeria, but the best way will have to be anybody in public office should not have their kids in public school, in private schools or overseas. That is, but it shouldn't be that somebody who already have their kids overseas should then suddenly, no, that's what I'm just trying to make a fine distinction here. So don't let us lose, the argument. And apart from that, have we apologized to the youth? I did not hear Mr. President apologize to the youth. We failed Nigerian youth. We failed them woefully. I told some of my friends 2 days ago, I said, look, the easiest way to solve this crisis, to my mind, and I could be very wrong, I was waiting for the Mr. President to come out and say, fellow Nigerians, and first and foremost, we must apologize to our youth against much hardship or injustice have been done. That was all they were waiting to hear, that the president they put in office sympathizes with them. But the question is, do military really empathize? Were they trained to really feel in that particular way? Were they trained to look at what is on ground and respond to that? Sorry, Mr. President did not need to read a script yesterday. He needed to speak from the heart, from his heart. And that's the message I wanted to leave us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Abbas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ademola. Thank you.
So thank you for your intervention. I don't know if Abdul, you still want to, you previously raised your hand. Abdul Ganiyu, are you able to unmute yourself? Abdul Ganiyu?
Yes, I have done that. No.
Okay, can you please quickly make your intervention, please?
Okay, thank you very much.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
I'm actually on the roadside now. I'll just quickly go somewhere. Okay, like I was saying, thank you very much for the privilege given. One thing we must understand is that for us to fix Nigeria, like every other speaker said, it is not about ethnicity, it is not about religion. It's about putting square peg in a square hole, regardless of whether I am a Yoruba man or an Igbo man or an Efiki man or Hausa. Today, we need to cleanse Nigeria without the involvement of any public office holder, either in the present or in the past, because, like it has been stated, Nigeria is sitting on a gunpowder. It didn't start today. It has been long, since 1960. And what we are experiencing today is just a crack of that gunpowder. So regardless of whosoever public office holder in the past or present coming to speak now about the current administration should remember that when they were there, they did nothing, little or nothing. I stand to be corrected. They did little or nothing. So they shouldn't come today and start saying that the president should resign. When they were there, did they resign? No.
Okay.
So it's about Nigerians coming together.
Thank you very much.
It's about Nigerian youth coming together, ensuring that whoever that is coming to disrupt the focus we have, we should not just fight that person, but
thank you very much.
Push that person to stay focused.
Your point is well taken. Thank you very much. Can I have, please, Ikem Ezeoke, please? Quickly. I've said it, if you unmute without being asked to do so, you will be removed. So again, Ikem, please, you raised your hand, or if you don't want to speak.
Hello,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Ikem, yes.
Just hear me. Okay, I have a few contributions to make. One is that Nigeria is not lacking a handshake. Nigeria is lacking in quality leadership. And you know, our politics is transactional, it's not transformational. And if it remains transactional, people will always do anything possible to be in politics because it's transactional, it's not transformational. Nigeria know what to do. Let us stop sounding grammatical. We know what to do. What we need to do is that let us visit back the 2004 National Conference, 14 National Conference. Let us revisit that. Let us be very proactive in what we want to do. Let us start sounding grammatical in every time we start seeking for Nigerian problem. Please, our politics is transactional, it's not transformational. Until we begin to see reasons why we need to make it very transformational, then the right people will come. So I align strongly with the prof, and I still believe that what we need to do is to start compelling people to make sure that they participate in the next election, to change the tide of what is happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brief intervention. Can we have AMG quickly, 1 minute, please? If you're not speaking, put your mic off.
No break.
Put your mic off, or you'll be removed, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say that the English we have been speaking here, the only thing I picked from here is from the prof and also from the Reverend Father. We understand our problem. We understand our problem. I've been traumatized for the past 3 days because I was on this protest ground. I walked there. You need to see the love and unity on that ground. It was out of this world.
Can you, sorry, MG, can you restart again? Can we know your full name? And
my name is Amaka Oyanwa.
Okay.
So I have to hold this flag because I shared this flag. I shared this flag there.
We cannot see your video, please.
Can you see my video? Can you see my video?
Your video is not on. Ask to, can you?
Hello, can you see me now?
Amaka, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me now.
Go ahead, we can see you now.
Like I said, I've been traumatized all this while because I've been there. I was there. We walked there. We did everything there. The peace, the unity on that ground was out of this world. There was nobody, you can't find anybody talking about tribal religion. No. The mission and the vision of this protest was, first of all, police brutality and also to reform the Nigerian police. And after then, the bad governance. They tried all they could to take us over, like to send money to us, but they could not succeed. Now they dispatched thugs in the midst of the whole thing. They still did not succeed because the thugs were, at the end of the day, they were beaten, taken to the hospital, and they surrendered. I can comfortably tell you that I worked with these thugs, and the thugs I work with, they will never collect any money from anybody to do this thing or to cause problems because everybody really needed the change. All of them wanted the change. They were tired and fed up of every bad thing, the bad governance, the corruption, the leadership in Nigeria. So we're all singing the same mantra. The day this thing happened, a day before then, we have been planning to tell everybody to go home, to give them, the government, a little time. We come back again after 5 days. On Tuesday, the governor announced the curfew. Okay. When I told my team that we need to go, We were telling everybody that the curfew, we need to go. The people there said that they are not going anywhere because they believe that they are peaceful and they are not causing any chaos. They will sit here and sing the national anthem. I shared this flag. We shared this flag to everybody because we know that this flag stands for peace and unity. We shared the flag and I left there at about 4:30. On my way, I started getting messages that they are removing the cameras. Okay, I now called the people there because they refused to go. They said that this fight is for Nigeria, that they are not going anywhere because they believe that nobody is going to kill them. I kept on calling. I was on a video call even that night, and I was sending messages. Because when I saw that thing, before they turned off the lights, all of them were sitting down there singing praises and worship. As soon as the military entered, they changed to national anthem. They started waving the flag. All of them were sitting on the ground. The girl with the microphone that was standing there, she said, start singing the national anthem. I was in a video call with one of them. Do not run, sing the national anthem. These soldiers came in there. As soon as they walked in there, they opened fire. The first person that collected the bullet was that girl standing up there. She was the very first person that the bullet hit. Now they were still sitting and saying solidarity. We are peaceful. We are not doing nothing. They were still there holding hands together. These guys were calling them bastards, criminals. They were shooting them. Now, one of them, when I was on a call, she said that let us go and get ambulance. Some people are already hit. So as she was going, when they moved out to call the ambulance, the military refused them bringing the ambulance there. They refused because I saw everything. Nobody needs to tell me nothing. I wasn't there, but I was on the phone. I was on a video call. I saw everything. They refused them bringing the ambulance to carry those people out. The next thing I saw was that the bullet, the girl told me I've been shot. That was what she told me. I've been shot. The bullet hit her. Her phone dropped from her head. Till now, I don't know where she is. We don't even know anything about her as I speak to you because some of them there were telling me that most of them jumped into the canal. They planned this thing very, very well because they took off the lights. They knew that there was no way they can run. The next point there was them to jump into the canal. When they jumped into the canal, the soldiers started shooting them inside that canal. So you see, the truth of this matter is, I don't need to go into details because I have a lot to say. I've never seen this in my entire life. The governor ambushed his people. He had the moral support and the moral call and responsibility to say that he will not carry out this order, and he ambushed his people. But that's not it. All I have to say is we should leave all this English we are speaking. The truth of the matter is that the leadership, they can fight and do anything to make sure Buhari is not going to resign. Just have it at the back of your mind. Buhari, he will not resign. No, even if you call for his resignation, he will not. Let us change this governance. Because the fight is no longer just for the youth. The fight is for everybody. If we all run away from this country, honestly, I don't know who we are running away from. Let me just go. I don't know.
Thank you very much. I know it could be a very emotional, again, even as you're speaking, some of us are very, it's very graphic. I can feel that. On that same fateful day, I had a live broadcast where for the first time for over 6 hours, people were still ringing in, streaming live from the venue of that incident. It's one incident that shouldn't have happened. And sadly, it did happen. And it appears, as was said at the beginning, that the whole thing is taking a different dimension. The dimension that is taken is what has necessitated that we are all here to see how we can avert, if at all, and help in averting any danger that is coming. Hence we say it's about ending SARS. And ending SARS is not just the SARS as police. SARS has so many undertones that has to do with police brutality. When we say police brutality, it encompasses the police force, the military police, the the DSS, whatever you call them, all manner of police, all manner of policing in Nigeria is included in that. And beyond that, or beneath that, if we begin to unpick and unearth it, we have a lot beneath. Under that, we have corruption, we have bad leadership, we have leaders not being accountable to us. It is, yesterday I just said someone, I cannot understand it, that after the whole thing happened, there was no word from the right authority to say, we are sorry that this thing happened. I mean, many of us saw when the vice president actually made a tweet. I said, whatever the vice president wrote in that tweet could have been a better word to have been used by those or by the head of this government to make a national broadcast. Because what Nigeria needed at that point was the healing to show that Nigeria is a state that cared and that cared for anything at all. On that note, I know many of us are raising our hands. I don't know if Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe is still there. We will be rounding up now, rather, because actually we have taken much of the time. We have gone beyond what we scheduled for this conversation. And to have the last take this afternoon, I'll give Maazi Obiokoli. Maazi Obiokoli, please, if you have 1 minute for your intervention, quickly. And we will call it a day. Thank you, everyone. I know so many of you are raising your hands, but sadly, we can. Maazi Obiokoli, please make it quick.
I greet you all with the sincere greetings of peace, my fellow Nigerians, and we thank you so much for joining this call. It's been a very traumatic experience for all of us in the last days, and Amaka has just captured the particular feeling that most of us had during this incident. And we would want to say, having organized this call, that let the sacrifice of these young men and women not go in vain. As we go home today, that we take home the opportunity for all of us to tribalize this issue and begin to work together for a better nation. God will heal Nigeria, and we hope to see change come to us as a united nation. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much for that, intervention. Amaka, I can't thank you enough. On that note, once more, I would thank every single one of you that have made your comments, that have made your intervention. We heard before from Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, Reverend Father George Ehusani, and Dr. Isuwa Dogo, Professor Pat Utomi, Chief Fani-Kayode, and Professor Chris-Imfildon. On that note, I will thank once more Nzuko Munna for putting out time and resources to make this happen. And our thanks also goes to Njenje Media TV for anchoring this and taking out time to also make sure that this is a success. So now, every one of us leaving this meeting today, as the previous speaker said, one thing we all have now, a duty cut out for all of us to do. It is very simple. Please, let us de-escalate the tension in the land. Let us not make this conversation, as Amaka has put it, when they are there in Lekki protesting. There was no Hausa, there was no Igbo, there was no Efiki, Bibio, or Yoruba. What they all had was Nigeria, the Nigerian dream. It is a nation over the years that we have heard of potentials. It begins to sound in the ears as a dwarf that never grows. You never move from potentials to reality. But whatever has happened, there is no way you can explain it. There is no way it could be excused. It has happened. But let it be a moment that what our youth have done is something that will have to reinforce our belief that together as a people, we can achieve what that we can achieve that great nation that we want. Equally, using the opportunity to say once more, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we'll say have a wonderful day. Please do in your own little way to de-escalate the situation, please. Thank you once more, and have a wonderful day.